Good evening and welcome to Global Profiles. Tonight, my guest is 5th grader Srivats Ramaswamy. Welcome, Srivats.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I guess my first question is, where does your story begin?
Well, it begins when I was born, but besides that, my heritage is my parents. My dad immigrated, was a first-generation immigrant, came from India in 1986, and my mom was born to two immigrants, one who came in 1960 and the other who came in 1962.
And where were they coming from?
They were coming from India, all three of them.
All three of them, so they're all immigrants. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about how they influenced you.
Well, my dad, of course, he's put lots of values into me. Such as honesty and, responsibility, those kinds of things. But then my grandfather, he's taught me golf, he's helped me with soccer. My grandmother tells me stories, lets me help her cook, likes to do crafts with me.
And if you were to sort of tell us what your culture is and how you define your culture, first of all, let's start with, what is culture to you?
Well, I feel that culture is a person's daily life, and it has many aspects that can be seen in their music, food, their arts, their language, their body language, which is also a big part, because an example is the Indian head shake. It is traditional. My dad even does it. Mm-hmm. It's like this, and it means you understand.
Does it mean yes or no?
I think it means yes. Because whenever, an example is whenever, if you say, "Did you go to this movie?" I'll say,
that means yes, I did.
Yes.
All right, I'll know that next time. Well, how would you define your culture? What did your parents give you? How would you give it percentages? What?
Well, first, my culture is a big mix of American and Indian, and it has a little bit of global in there, because I have been influenced by global cultures through traveling, or we're open-minded, and we eat usually global food fairly often.
So would you give it a percentage? Would you say you're half of something, quarter?
Well,
What's the deal?
Well, my culture is it's 45% Indian, 45% American, because I can't dismiss those. The Indian comes from my heritage, which has gotten in me because my parents have continued some of that culture from India, and then the American I've picked up because I've lived here so long. And my mom has lived here, so that she has also experienced some of that. And then the 10% global is because of traveling, and that we eat global cuisines.
Do you speak different languages at home?
Yeah, well, not necessarily always at home. We speak mostly English, but Tamil, which is what we speak in India mostly, partly, because we also speak English. Tamil is, my parents speak it to me sometimes, and I understand and reply in English mostly when I'm in the U.S.
Okay, well that's great. It sounds like what would be the foundation of your culture?
From my parents or relatives, they have started that foundation. Closest relatives such as grandparents.
Okay.
Have taught me prayers and other things. And
are you religious?
Yes. Hindu is my religion, which includes prayers and different rituals, traditions.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Now I am going to tell you about some of the immigrants in my family. Dad immigrated in 1986 from New Delhi, India to Indiana, USA. My grandfather immigrated in 1960 from Chennai, India to Indiana, USA. My grandmother immigrated in 1962 from Calcutta, India to Indiana, USA.
Go.
Hey, do you have your passport? Come take a trip and see my culture through my eyes. Home to me is in Monterey, California, but also Madras, India. Home to me means values and family. Now I'm going to show you my family album. This is my great-grandmother. I love watching TV and movies with her. This is my other great-grandmother. I love playing Chinese checkers with her. This is my grandmother said when you have no family as an immigrant in the U.S., your friends become. Or how did your values develop and who did they come from?
From the childhood, I have been told I have to be very honest, just, and true to yourself. All this was told by Chittupati and her mother. All these people just told me that I have to be very honest and true to myself. I should not tell lies like that. So I was just now. That is why I became like that.
Come from?
I mean, I think my values come from my parents. They also come from my husband and from my husband's family, because I've been a part of their family for over 20 years. So some of the things that are important to me are what I consider my values. Family and being together is really important to me, and that came from both my mother and father-in-law as well as my own mother and father, that we had family time. Really being truthful, honest, and doing hard work. And that came from my dad, especially talking about where he worked, and they had a saying, a workman needeth not be ashamed. And that means that hard work can get you anywhere, and that's a very American value that I have.
My values came again, as your mother pointed out, from my parents, and actually I was influenced by my grandfather, because my father was working for the government, and so I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, who gave me especially good training in religious values.
I grew up, my parents moved a lot and I went from place to place. I had to adjust a lot. The biggest value I have is being adaptable. I was able to speak many languages and go to many different schools. And that has always helped me. It's a major value for me because being adaptable makes it easier to adjust to whichever environment you are in. That's one of my biggest values.
Okay.
I'm working very hard.
I think I learned, growing up, I learned a lot of my values from my father and mother and from my grandparents. Everything from to tell the truth, to be honest, to be kind to others, to help others, to be punctual, my belief or love for religion. And then as I grew up, I think I also learned some of my values from teachers I admired. And I think I learned things like my love for travel and openness after having come here, and because I've now been married for 20 plus years.
One more thing to add. I learned perseverance, and I probably learned that from my mom when she was saying working hard and never giving up.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
And once again, thank you all for your lovely discussion.
Welcome back to another edition of Global Profiles. We're back with Srivats and Ramaswamy. Srivats, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, my religion, I am 100% Hindu, and Hinduism actually means way of life, which is my definition of culture. And now I would like to show you how I practice my religion. Om Bhurvusvaha Tatsavaturbharenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. How did you learn about religion?
Religion, I don't know. Maybe my grandmother was very religious. I was seeing her. From her, I came to know. And Appa, Tata, my father, my mother, everybody was religious in the family. So that's why I also became.
New York, where you currently live, you pray after your bath. Does that change when you go to India?
Yes, in India when I go to our traditional temples, both in Chennai and in Kumbakonam, where my parents and fathers came from.
Welcome to Global Profiles. We're inviting back 5th grader Srivats and Ramaswamy tonight. Welcome, Srivats.
Thanks for having me again on the show. This show, I'm going to talk about my cooking experience and my cooking culture.
Excellent.
Come to my kitchen and see. I enjoy cooking. I help my mom out sometimes, like today, and so that is what I'm doing right now. I am cutting up cilantro leaves, and in India we call them kotamali leaves. And then I have some red peppers over here and some garlic over here. Then this is an Indian spice box. And
So in Indian spice box, we've got, so while Srivats is cooking, I'll let you know that we've got some black peppercorns. These are things I use regularly in my cooking. And we are putting a bit of an Indian twist on our
we're
black bean
making
soup.
a Mexican black bean soup, and we're putting some of this Indian twist on it.
And so we've got coriander, we've got mustard seed, we've got fenugreek, and what's this one called that we're going to be using today?
We're going to be using cumin.
Cumin, which is also called jeera in Hindi, and then we've got red pepper. So you finish that up, and then you need to quickly cut these up.
So we eat different cuisines in our house. Some of the ones I like are Mexican, Italian, or Chinese, and we also eat American food. But then because I am from India, we eat Indian food fairly often, but not like every day. But there's different cuisines from different regions, such as they have North Indian food and then there's South Indian food. That we are gonna put some cumin into our Mexican black bean soup. And so first we have to put it into the oil, which I am doing now.
You can see it spluttering, and I'm going to put, and this is going to go, this is pretty traditional for us to put on the tops of a lot of our food. So we're actually putting this on our black bean soup. And then I'm putting the garlic in, and that's it. And let's just, here, because we want to be super.
So as I said earlier, we're going to put the cumin and garlic in. So now that is what we're doing.
So turn it over and pour it right in. And then that just...
This is our dining table. We eat here mostly, but sometimes upstairs. That's the same in India. Here we eat with utensils. There we eat mostly with our hands. And when we eat with our hands, we eat with our right hand, because if we eat with our left hand, it is considered unclean. And in India, when on auspicious occasions, we eat on the floor with banana leaves. Yum! ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு அம்மா. Mom and Dad usually clean up after dinner, but I help sometimes set the table and cook. I drink milk and Gatorade, which is from my American side, water which is from my global side, and juice which is from my Indian and American side. India. We eat yogurt after dinner. Monterey. We've modified it a bit, but we still eat yogurt after dinner, but flavored, not plain. Sometimes we go to the Indian store in San Jose. How did you learn about cooking?
Cooking I learned from books, recipes, and from friends, trial and error only. And your tata was the guinea pig.
How did you adapt to when you came to the United States, having to learn how to cook?
When I came to United States, in India, I had only helped my mom in the kitchen when she cooked by being a sous chef. But when I came here, I had to cook because Tata and I were the only two people and we needed to have food. So I started cooking and I had books that I brought with me and I learned cooking from that Indian cooking books. And then later on, slowly I loved cooking and I learned American dishes and how to bake and how to make bread and all those things. That's how I learned to make all the different kinds of dishes.
Has cooking really been a part of what you do, your culture?
Cooking is a very big part of my culture and also the Indian part of my culture, both. My American and Indian part, both.
Have you passed? These are some of my mom's cookbooks. We're vegetarians, so we have lots of vegetarian cookbooks. And so then we also have this one cookbook which my mom says is really special because it is American home cooking with the flavors of India, which is mostly what we do. But then she has other cookbooks from different cuisines, such as Mexican Everyday. Because India is hot and humid, we wear light clothes for daily wear. In India, people wear lots of colorful clothes. I wear this wherever I am swimming. Crafts. This is a weaving that I've made, and this is a pottery dinosaur I've made. I really like doing My grandmother learned quilting in America. This is one of her quilts. It is a crafty take on a Hindu story about the Lord Krishna. Great-grandmothers, great-aunts, grandmothers all worked on this quilt for me. For my love of myths and stories, I am deciding to read you a myth, an Indian myth. Once there was a great argument between Brahma and Vishnu. Brahma said, "I am the creator of this universe." Vishnu disagreed. "No, you are not. I am," he said. As the intensity of the argument grew, all the gods assembled to watch who would win, and the whole world came to a standstill. Brahma became a swan and soared upwards, while Vishnu became a boar and dived downwards. They prowled hither and thither, seeking the power of the stone. Suddenly the gigantic black stone split, and in a cave-like sanctuary they saw Shiva seated. At the moment, they realized that it was Shiva who really was the creator. From then on, the black stone, or the lingam, has always been worshipped as a symbol of Shiva's power. And this is the story how the lingam was born. I like traveling to new places. I also like learning about new cultures. This is the Great Wall of China in Beijing, China. These are the terracotta warriors in Xi'an, China. This is me in a terracotta warrior mold in Xi'an, China. This is me in the Taj Mahal in Agra, India. This is the Mayan temple in Chichen Itza that I visited. This is the Great Pyramid of Giza in Giza, Egypt.
Hey Srivats, here's $20 for the book you wanted.
Thank you, Dada.
Okay. Srivats, இந்த 100 ரூபாய் புஸ்தகத்துக்காக வாங்கிக்கோ.
ரொம்ப நன்றி அப்பா.
Okay.
Me llamo Srivats. ¿Y tú?
Me llamo Sundar.
Gracias.
De nada.
I love games and sports. Some are from the US, some are from India, and some are just simply global, like soccer.
Srivats, clean your room!
My mom thinks my room is messy. I hope so. Ole, 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 ole. I started off with hockey in Vermont because it is the #1 sport there. I learned how to play tennis. I have swum for a number of years because we had a pool in our house in Vermont. I love biking, and I play soccer almost every week competitively. Then when I go to India, I play cricket.
Well, I feel I'm all free of the Nigerian culture, which is in West Africa, because I was born and raised there. and on the part of the Indian culture too, because that's sort of where my parents come from, where I spent a significant part of my life, and where I continue to go back to. And I also feel a significant part of America because I've been here for over a decade.
Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you to the skit President Hiranyakashipu. And so, let's have this begin.
These pie charts represent how Indian I am and how American I am. My top 3 aspects for Indian culture are respect for elders, gender equality, and respect for nature. My top 3 aspects of American culture are optimism, risk-taking, and fate. What I learned from doing this project is that along with my mom, who was born here, and my dad, who immigrated to this country, I'm seeking out and soaking up all 3 of my cultures that bridge to make one culture.
Hi Srivats, welcome back to Global Profile. We're so glad to have you in this final installment. So give us an idea. Where did you go? What did you see? What did you show? Give me the lowdown.
So, I tried to show what I do in my home or outside my home, my travel, what I do for arts and crafts, the languages I speak, the food I eat, how I practice my religion, what clothes I wear, and more importantly, where all of these come from. All of these represent that I am part American, part Indian, and part global citizen. Thanks for watching.